Good morning. Welcome to another adventure of talk radio. Podcast radio. Yes, I am Mike Wiley, evil radio talk show host and evil podcast host. All right, so here's the deal. First, let's go to the non-videotape axis of evil. I'm just going to explain to you what years of investigation has proven, and of course, years of activity of criminal Democrats, criminal communist Chinese, and criminal Islamic terrorists. What a coincidence. They're all on the same team. 1990, 2024, yeah, they're all on the same team. All on the same team. So here we go. We got a guy named Jack Smith who can't be with us today. I think he's picking out cells somewhere in Cuba or Gitmo because he's decided to join the criminal enterprise known as the Democrat Party, the Communist Chinese, and the Islamic terrorists. Election interference has been going on since 1992 to 2016 with 8 years of Clinton, 8 years of Obama, 8 years of Bush. And then we got this guy Trump comes in. Now, who the hell is he? Trump's not a politician. Matter of fact, he's a successful businessman who became wealthy before he went into the White House. While everyone else, Clintons, Obamas, Bush, and Biden, they became wealthy after they came out of the White House. So evidently getting into the White House makes Democrats wealthy. What a coincidence. So I'm going to present to you an idea. I'm going to present to you some facts. And I hope that upon further review, you'll realize what the fuck is going on in this country. And I'm not going to get into this possibility of somebody, making hurricanes go this way or go that way. Look, these things happen. We have to overcome them, okay? We're Americans. We should be kicking the Democrats' ass. They're not Americans. I'm sorry. They're not Americans. They're not Americans. And they're not Americans. We're the Americans. And through these things, this is just a few of them. But in 2016, now this is what's called election interference. We've seen much of it. The interesting part is there is never any election interference on the part of Republicans against Democrats. No, election interference only occurs when Democrats are trying to prevent Republicans from winning elections legally and honestly. Yeah, that's what they're doing. 2016, we had the Hillary Russia hoax. Okay, this stupid bitch was losing. Obama thought she would win. Everyone thought she would win. Everyone thought the Trump campaign was a joke. They know it's not. 2017 to 2019, we had the fake Mueller report degrading Trump's effectiveness for the middle 2 years, actually middle 3 years of his presidency. Now, before I get to this document, let me point out that Donald Trump did commit a crime against humanity on May 14th, 2018. Do you know what it was? What did Donald Trump do that Clinton wouldn't do, that Bush wouldn't do, that Obama wouldn't do? What would those three pieces of shit not want to do? They did not want to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel on May 14th, 2018, on the 70th anniversary of Israel's birth and the dedication of the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem, that was Trump's crime. Because then the shit hit the fan. Okay? Now, understand how things work. Okay? If you have to destroy a Republican president, there's several ways of doing it. Okay? Especially if they're guilty of committing, I don't know if you've ever heard of this crime. They're called landslides. Republicans are not allowed to win by landslides. Ronald Reagan in 1980 won by a landslide. He had like 400 and some odd electoral votes to Jimmy Carter's 60. It was a landslide. Why? Because Carter sucked. The economy sucked. Our lives sucked. Just like they did with Clinton and Obama and now Biden. Okay? It's historical bullshit we put up with. So, 2016, we had the Russia hoax. In 2018 was one of the first major election frauds committed by the Democrats because they had to take over Congress in order to attack and destroy Trump. Remember, Democrats must get elected to destroy Republicans and destroy our country. That's their ball game. If you haven't figured that shit out now, huh? Did God send a hurricane to North Carolina so you could see firsthand who the fuck is running our country? Who is shoving it up the asses of our American citizens? $750, and it's a loan, you know. It's a loan. The Democrats like doing that, making you believe that they're giving you money, but no, it's a loan. And then, of course, they'll apply it to your property if you don't pay it back. They'll steal your property. This shit's gone on too long, and it's got to stop. I'm fucking pissed at this shit. I could go on for fucking days talking about this stuff. I'm going to try to calm down, but this is TikTok. All sorts of shit goes on TikTok. This video is for TikTok, but we will make it available on YouTube. So I'm just going to get to the chase here. Okay, so we had the Mueller report. Okay, the Mueller report was 2 years of bullshit to try to make you believe that Trump was guilty of something. Now, how do we know it's Democrat bullshit? How can you figure it out? The special counsel investigation uncovered extensive criminal activity. The investigation produced 37 indictments. Remember, you can indict a ham sandwich. 7 guilty pleas or convictions, and compelling evidence that the president obstructed justice on multiple occasions. Compelling evidence. Was that evidence used in the court?
Fuck no! Can't use phony evidence. We can say it's evidence.
Mueller also uncovered and referred 14 criminal matters to other components of the Department of Justice. Not just us, them. Trump associates repeatedly lied to investigators about their contacts with Russians and... Okay, this is bullshit. But how do we know it's bullshit? How do we know that this documentation from the Mueller investigation is propaganda bullshit?
Well, Mike, tell them all about it.
Well, you see, the summary was prepared by the Presidential Investigation Education Project. Ooh, the Presidential Investigation Education Project. For second graders, huh? A partnership between the American Constitution Society, okay, a known communist organization trying to make believe they support the Constitution, but only their Constitution, you know, the one they like, not the one that our founding fathers gave us over 200 years ago, and Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, CREW. CREW is a fraudulent, or want to come sue me? I don't care, okay? I'll debate you bastards anywhere. CREW, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. Let me ask you a question. CREW, how many Republicans have you investigated versus Democrats? What percentage have been Republicans and what percentage has been Democrats? 92% Republicans and 8% Democrats? Is that about around the ballpark? Okay, January 6, 2021. The purpose of that was to prevent Trump from winning the presidency. There were six electors, state electors that were going to be challenged. There were 6 Republican senators signing off on the Republican congressman's complaint. Those were to be reviewed. Nancy Pelosi knew that the electors from Washington, from Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin would get thrown out, and then there wouldn't be a majority, and Trump would have to go. The election would have to go to the House, and Trump would have won 27-21 to retain his presidency. So the question is, why would Trump want to stop himself from winning re-election? Or would the Democrats prefer to stop him from winning re-election? Who has more of the intent to keep Trump from winning the election again? So, that was 2020. And then they began the attack on Trump on 2024 because they felt he was going to come back and win another landslide like he was going to win in 2020. So they had the second fake impeachment, and then they've had malicious prosecutions, E. Jean Carroll fake lawsuit, a Letitia James fake lawsuit, the hush money fake lawsuit, where they're charging Trump with 34 journal entries.
Yeah, he made 34, well, he didn't, but the bookkeeper did, but we're going to charge him for it. And so 34 journal entries.
First time in American history a journal entry is a crime. Then you have the documents case, which was a fraud to begin with, but it was to cover Biden's problem. And now we have the January 6th fraud case, which brings us to Jack Smith, lying scumbag. Yeah, Jack, you're a lying scumbag. We all know it. We all know what the fuck you're up to. Okay, so, hold on, I got back here for a second. Questions for Jack Smith. Okay, first of all, so what's happened is the Supreme Court ruled that there's a certain immunity that presidents have. Okay, so then we can't go after Trump for this.
Whoa, wait, there's gonna be a scheme we can kind of figure out. Okay, maybe Trump was president from 7 to 7, but after 7 o'clock he was not president. So if he did something after 7 o'clock, we could say, hey, he's guilty. He wasn't president then. Or no, wait, Trump wasn't president when he was in the bathroom. So we'll go through and document all the times he was in the bathroom, and then whatever he did in the bathroom that was criminal, then we'll get him for that. These mothers do anything they can to get Trump. They are all so full of shit. But the great part about it is, it's all treason. It's all malicious prosecution, election interference. And if Trump becomes president, they're fucked. And they know it.
That's why they're just saying, Trump's going to come after us. He's going to... I'm sorry, but if you're a criminal, we go after criminals. We do go after criminals. We don't go after innocent people like Democrats do. Okay, so I have questions for Jack Smith, but first, let me just read to you. Now, this is a 165-page document. I only printed out the first 2 pages because I only need the first 2 pages to make this bullshit exposed. Government's motion for immunity determinations. The defendant asserts that he is immune from prosecution for his criminal scheme. I object, Your Honor. Who determined that it's a criminal scheme? Your Honor, it hasn't been confirmed or acknowledged that it was a criminal scheme. In order for it to be a criminal scheme, wouldn't they have to have found him guilty of the crime in a court of law, not in the state of New York or on the domicile communists of D.C.? The defendant asserts that he is immune from prosecution for his criminal scheme to overturn the 2020 presidential election because he claims it entitled official conduct. Not so. Although the defendant was the incumbent president during the...
Hey, what's incumbent mean?
Although the defendant was the incumbent president during the charged conspiracies, his scheme was fundamentally a private one. In other words, all the stuff he did was in the bathroom. That's private. We're going to give him that. If he's in the bathroom, it's private. Was he in a fucking closet or something to make it private? Working with a team of private co-conspirators who went to jail. Okay. What they're trying to call a criminal scheme was actually legally done. Matter of fact, if you ever saw the movie Lincoln, when Lincoln is trying to get the 13th Amendment passed to end slavery, they go through this process of trying to gather up people to vote in favor of the 13th Amendment. And to do that, they hired a team of people to go out to communicate, some were lawyers, some weren't lawyers, to these people to get their votes. They were trying to gather up votes. Okay? Trump had Steve Bannon, who's in jail, and Peter Navarro, who just got out of jail. The reason why they're being considered criminal is because they did something totally legal. Okay? They went around and they were putting together the process of making sure they could gather up enough January 6 votes by Republicans to go ahead and terminate the electors from at least 3 states like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, because they went ahead and changed the manner of which they were doing elections without the approval of the Republican state legislatures of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. So whatever the attorney generals and the secretary of states and the Democrat governors, all 3 positions Democrats, 2018, Democrats were going after all the states to try to take them over from Republicans, but they couldn't get rid of the Republican legislatures. So they went ahead and did this phony lawsuit from the Russia hoax guy, and they put this lawsuit together to provide cover so that they could go, okay, we'll go ahead and make sure that our election things are constitutional by violating the Constitution, and we'll go ahead and you know what we're going to do? We won't really check the signatures, no. Because if it doesn't matter if the signatures don't match, why check them? Okay? Because we're only going to process 15 million fake ballots around the country with fake signatures in them to steal the 2020 election. And even though it's so obvious, our media will make you believe you're an asshole for believing that the 2020 election was stolen. And this asshole, Mike Wiley, figured it all out. He's got all the documentation. He's already done shows on it. One day, the electric chairs are going to buzz. So, back to this. Working with a team of private co-conspirators. First of all, why are they co-conspirators? They weren't conspiring to commit any crime. What they did was totally legal. The defendant acted as a candidate when he pursued multiple criminal means to disrupt, through fraud and deceit, the government function by which votes are collected and counted. Wrong! A function in which the defendant, as president, had no official role. Wrong! On January 6th, he was president of the United States, and if the Democratic Party is trying to commit a crime by stealing the election, he has all the authority to do something about it. Jack Smith, get your head out of your ass. In Trump versus the United States, the Supreme Court held that presidents are immune from prosecution for certain official conduct, including the defendant's use of the Justice Department in furtherance of his scheme, as was alleged in the original indictment. Trump used the Justice Department to do what? Create 4 malicious prosecutions against him? No, that's Biden. Biden would have done that. The document case, that was Biden. All that shit was Biden. So in other words, it's all right for Biden to commit these crimes because he's president, which he isn't really. In order to become president, you have to win the election. He hasn't won the election. The election still hasn't been finalized yet. Why? Because that stupid bitch Pelosi, and I've already covered this, so you'll see it when I put these things together on January 6th in the election fraud. Nancy Pelosi did not have a quorum on the floor, and that made all the proceedings unconstitutional. Just like the judge in Texas ruled on that $1.7 trillion Spend America to Death program called the Inflation Act. She didn't have all the people there to vote. She was collecting these proxies, and she thought, hey, I'm really smart. Okay, I got the proxy votes. Oh, no, they're not on the floor, but you can count them. It's okay. The judge in Texas says, hell no, that's illegal. Now, of course, they're not going to terminate that $1.7 trillion. They're still going to spend it because they're criminals. They'll always commit crimes. They won't stop. They've been committing crimes since 1990 to 2024 with these 3 partners, Islamic terrorists, Communist China, and the Democrats. Now, why does it start in 1990? Because that's the year they assassinated the Islamic terrorists attacked and assassinated Meir Kahane in New York City. They had a plan to kill Jews in New York City. That was Osama bin Laden. And he had 6 boxes of documents in Arabic that showed the whole plan. Oh, yeah, the first bombing for World Trade Center 3 years before it occurred. The second Trade Center bombing when they would use planes as missiles. Okay, and that was about 10 years before that. They knew all this shit. They still let it happen. Why?
Oh, we want to go into Iraq and Afghanistan. We have to have an excuse.
We have to go ahead and allow 20,000 U.S. soldiers to be maimed, crippled, murdered. And then when we get home, we're going to forget them. Like we're forgetting the people in North Carolina and in Tennessee and Georgia, because we don't give a shit about Americans. We're Democrats. Don't ever forget that. These bastards have been getting away with this shit for too long. And it's going to end. The Lord God is going to strike them. I'm just telling you. So in Trump versus the United States, the Supreme Court held that presidents are immune from prosecution for certain official conduct. Okay? So now Jack Smith has to go ahead and try to make it unofficial conduct. Section 1 provides the detailed statement of the case that the government intends to prove at trial. The government? Which government? Which government's going to try to prove it at trial? You're not talking about the illegal Biden government, which doesn't exist, unless you can prove to me that they won the election and through a whole process, because I don't recall that process being finalized on January 6th because of the scheme to have an attack on the Capitol by Democrats, okay, and the FBI was involved. They had 200 men on the ground participating. Oklahoma City, Waco, World Trade Center number 1, World Trade Center number 2. The FBI had people inside. They knew what was going on, and they still let everything happen. The FBI doesn't exist. It hasn't existed for 30 some odd years. And I was going to go in the FBI back in 1974. I'm glad I didn't, because they probably would have had me killed. Because I can't be
It can't be a criminal.
Section 2 sets forth the legal principles governing claims of presidential immunity. It explains that for each category of conduct that the Supreme Court has not yet addressed, this court should first determine whether it was official or unofficial by analyzing the relevant content, form, and context. To determine whether the defendant was acting in his official capacity or instead in his capacity as a candidate for re-election. Mr. Smith, while you're sitting on the stand, let me ask you this question. So when Donald Trump decided he was going to run for re-election, does that mean that that whole year and a half he was running for re-election, he wasn't president? Because you're saying here he can't be a president and can't be a candidate at the same time. So what are you trying to say? Oh, well, if he's out on the campaign trail, he's not the president. We shouldn't refer to him as the president. We should refer to him as the candidate. Can you people take 5 minutes? Pull your heads out of your asses. Get on the boat and get the F out of here. I'd go to Cuba now. You better start trying to find I would start picking out condos in Gitmo. Where the defendant was acting as an office seeker, not office holder, no immunity attaches. Oh, I see. So a bug bite is not a bug bite unless it's red. If it's not infected, you can't count it as a bug bite, even though it looks like it's a bug bite. Okay. So look, we understand. We understand. You refiled this 165-page of bullshit to try to get the American people to go, oh, Trump's guilty of this too. That's 740 things he's done illegally. Okay, Jack, we're going to put you on the stand. I'm going to ask you some questions. You're under oath. Someday you'll be under tree. I like that, Mike. That's good. Under oath or under tree. Because you can't hang somebody straight up. You see, they have to be hanging from the tree. That means they'll be under the tree. Jack Smith, who was president of the United States on January 6, 2021. Don't give me your answer now. Wait. Jack Smith, how many Democrats were arrested on January 6, 2017 for attempting to change the outcome of an election by questioning the viability of Trump's electors in several states? How many of these people were arrested for doing what you're saying is illegal? Or is it illegal if Republicans do it, but Democrats can do it, and then it's not a crime? Is that what you're saying? Is you're saying Democrats can do whatever the fuck they want and Republicans can't? Question number 3, why would Donald Trump want to prevent his re-election? He would have won in the House 27-21 on January 6, 2021. Because once those 3 states that were tossed out because they're illegal, change of the manner in which the election was done by counting 15 million fake ballots by not comparing the signatures as required by law. How many Democrats were president on January 6, 2017? I don't think anybody was a president. I don't think there were any Democrats as president on January 6, 2017. So therefore, they would not have presidential immunity. So then I go back to this question then. How many Democrats were arrested on January 6, 2017 for attempting to change the outcome of an election? Huh? Is it okay for Democrats to challenge elections but not Republicans? But I did start America first. I was the first, 1994. There's documented proof. Sorry, Vivek. But I'm not going to read your book. I don't need to know what you think America First is. But I know what America First is because I started it in 1994. And I was born into the concept because my dad was a Teamster. My granddads were Teamsters. And when I ran for U.S. Senate in 1994, I had to run on something, and that was to fix the internal combustion engine known as the United States of America economy and rebuild the inner cities. And that's what my plan was, to take Chinese products and bring them into the United States and build them here in the inner cities and put people to work. They went after Nixon with a fake impeachment with Watergate was faker than fake. Okay, I've already covered that. Why would he send people into the Democratic headquarters when he was winning by 19 points in an election? It was a landslide. Oh, yeah, after he was done in China, in visiting China, and then after he was done in Russia, he decided to come back and go, oh, my goodness, I'm only up by 19 points. Let's send 4 fools in to find out what's going on. Yeah, we want to know why bananas are yellow. I hereby recognize 163 years of irreconcilable differences between the American free states and the Democratic Party slave states. And I grant the divorce of the free American states from the criminal enterprise known as the Democratic Party. There's only 2 ways this is going to end. Electric chair or divorce. Why don't you Democrats get the hell out of our country, go back to Seattle, go back to Portland, go to San Francisco, the city that Kamala killed, or go to California, the state that Kamala killed, and we're going to take the red counties in those states. See all them red counties? We're going to adjust the borders of Washington, Oregon, California, Minnesota, Illinois, New York, Pennsylvania. And you guys will be somebody else, but you ain't going to be part of the United States. I think after 163 years, we're due for a divorce. Would you put up with a cheating, scheming bitch if you were married to her for 163 years? Of course, 163 is a little too long, but you get the message, okay? It's time for the great divorce. It's time. This 2-party system doesn't work because one party is pro-American, the other party is pro-communist China, pro-Islamic terrorist, pro-Mexican cartels. Hey, where's the 325,000 kids?
Kamala, where are they? You gonna find them?
Or do you not give a shit? I think you don't give a shit. Okay. All this shit is bullshit. The Jack Smith thing, the purpose of this was to point out to you that the Democrats are full of shit. Everything they try to do is full of shit. And now they're trying to get you to think with 30 days to go in the election that Trump is really a criminal. They're the criminals. Kamala's the criminal. Hey, by the way, have you ever seen the video of this black woman that Kamala put in jail because her daughter wasn't going to school because her daughter was in the hospital sick? That's a heartbreaker. This woman lost her job. She lost her apartment. She had to move into a hotel all because of Kamala.
Kamala loves black people. Don't you, Kamala?
Love you, bye.